What a rich and stimulating start to the day. It is now such a pleasure to introduce our next session, a solo by the formidable Amina Mohammed, the UN's Special Advisor. Hold your applause, I know you want to clap for her, we all do. The UN's Special Advisor for Post-2015 Development Planning and a very dear friend. Amina's singular passion, leadership, and relentless determination has been absolutely essential to the story of the global goals, and we all owe her a round of applause and our deepest admiration. Please join me in welcoming Amina Mohammed.
Now I can say hello, everyone, everywhere. 2015 for us was an amazing year for global action, and we had 3 things to do, and we've done 2 of them. We've given ourselves a set of goals, we've given ourselves a framework for how we're going to pay for it, and it just has one outstanding action, and that's the climate change agreement in December. And I know that we'll all get that, because so far we have created a momentum for ambition, and we've said what we've wanted, and 193 countries have said, okay, you can have it. That is amazing, it's historic, and it hasn't happened before. For those of you that were in the, watching us as we adopted this agenda just a couple of days ago, for good measure, we had the Pope. And that was really good, because at one point I was told about a whole procession of things that had to be said, and they would say, they would ask if anyone has got any objection. And I thought, oh my God, 193 countries, if one person raises their hand, I'll be the first one across the floor and there will be violence. Anyway, it didn't happen, and I think, you know, really what we saw there was people rising to the occasion. Because we learned from the Millennium Development Goals that goaling works, it brings people together. Partnerships did reduce maternal mortality. They did save many more children's lives. We put children in school. We did give people water, and we certainly tried to attend to gender and reduce poverty, and we met the goal. However, we also know that it didn't do enough. It didn't go far enough. The glass is half full, half empty, and I think that that's what really spurred us on, was that we can actually do this, but what we need to do is sit down and do it together. And what member states said is, don't give us a prescription. We're going to be in the driver's seat, but we'll keep it open, inclusive. Everyone will inform it. And I can say for all of you in here and out there, it was your informing this process that really gave it the ambition. So it is a collective effort. No one person or constituency did this. The world did this. They responded to a context we agreed is really messy. There are problems everywhere, from migration to decent jobs that are not available for our young people, conflict, inequalities, you name it, we've got it. And so when people say to me, you've got too many goals, so we'll reduce the mess and we'll have less. But we have goals that respond to the crisis, goals that really do, if you look at every one of them, they mean something. So all the goals matter. You want a goal on gender equality, a goal on no hunger, whatever it is, use it as a docking station for the other 16. I know there's no way that everyone will say they're doing 17, but I do know that every country is going to consider the priorities of those 17, and whatever they are, the others will feed into it and feed out. And I think that this is what has been instrumental in people really recognizing their issues being addressed in our goals. And what it says for us in the next 15 years, and work backwards from it, because it's always great to say what you want to see and start working back. Working towards it, we sort of move the goal posts, but work back from what we must have by 2030. And for Nigeria, that's where I come from, I know that going home has a number, hi there, has a number of challenges that the outside world think are insurmountable. But the troubles we have in Nigeria affect you as well. The fact that we have Boko Haram, the fact that it affects girls that we put in school that are now being kidnapped as spoils of war, but that insecurity is translated across the world. I know that we are profiled as we go through different security gates around the world. I know people feel so much more insecure now because they don't know where it's coming from. And so for me, these goals will address the root causes. What was it that caused this in the first place? People are not born terrorists. And so we have to go back and think about the inequalities, the lack of governance, climate change, the exacerbated poverty around there because our lake shrunk from a big lake to a really tiny puddle. So for Nigeria, many, many challenges, but we have leadership, and what we need is many more of you and us to try to get the job done. It's a universal agenda, so we have challenges in Europe. Today we're talking about migration, how to deal with that. We've been talking about migration for a long time in Africa and in the Arab region and trying to deal with it. Now this suddenly becomes a global issue. How are we going to face that? How will we stem the tide? You invest in the root causes. Start ensuring that people who are doing this because they're forced to do so actually have a reason to stay. And that really means partnerships. It means investing in our country's education, ensuring more women and girls, as they pass through school, actually have an aspiration that they can attain, that we put them in leadership positions. We talk about climate change, and the evidence says it's man-made, and I'll always say underscore the man bit and bring more women into it, we'll have less climate change problems. So for Latin America, we've heard, I mean, the Every Woman, Every Child initiative that we've had, an example that we want to move to 2.0. And what does that mean? It means context. Context of the Arab region. Should we forget our women and children just because they're in conflict? Absolutely not. For Latin America, our adolescent girls that are voiceless, faceless, they matter. And so bringing them into this agenda. And not to forget the islands. And the islands were the first that we made a part of this. The island of Nauru, the smallest in our family of the UN. If we can't attend to their problems, then we won't have done the job. So really, the world, as the UN looks at, this is what it is, and it's what it should be, 2030. And our job, and your job, and these goals will provide that basis, is how can we close that gap? And we must do that because the implications of not doing it, could be much too costly for all of us. So we need your partnership, we need youth, energy, and vision, and together we can make this happen everywhere for everyone. Thank you.